Hello viewers, my name is Peter Barker and I'm here to instruct you in how to make a beautiful old Scottish liqueur called Athol Brose. All you'll need for this, the following ingredients, is some good Scotch whisky, some full cream, don't get reduced cream because it needs to be whipped, some good honey, good Australian honey, and Athol Brose or oatmeal brose, which I'll explain how to make shortly. Firstly, the cream. We use 900 milliliters of full strength cream. The honey, and always buy Australian, get yourself about 750 milliliters of that. Any more and it's probably going to be a tad sweet. The famous Scotch whisky, I use Teachers, it's not a bad drop and it's fairly cheap. And lastly, the oatmeal brose, which is a mixture of cold water and oatmeal. Now I use 2 containers, each with 200 milliliters of water and about 3 tablespoons of very fine oatmeal. The finer the better, and you can usually buy it at health food stores. So we have 2 bottles of that and a little bit more in reserve in case we need to dilute the mixture slightly. Now first we start with the 900 milliliters of cream. The cream should be whipped to such a consistency with the beaters that it's getting firm but it's still runny. So we take this cream which has been whipped, still runny, and it goes straight into our mixing bowl. Now it's best to use a bowl that's rather large simply because you're going to be splashing around quite a bit and you don't want to make a mess in the wife's kitchen. Now this beautiful beverage dates back to 1475 when the first Duke of Athol received word that Ian MacDonald, the Lord of the Isles, was fomenting rebellion against the monarch of the time to whom our good friend the first Duke of Athol was loyal. And he had heard that Ian MacDonald drank from a small well situated near his castle in the Highlands. And the Duke of Athol ordered his men to pour a mixture of whisky, oatmeal and honey into the well. And when the Lord of the Isles drank of that, he became so enamoured of the drink and so drunk that basically he was unable to take in any battle against the king. The first step is to mix getting ahead of myself, you'll be next, to mix the honey in with the cream. The honey should be placed in very warm water to make it nice and runny, and all we simply do is put the honey with the cream and stir it in. Remembering you've got fairly cool cream and fairly warm honey, so you need to stir fairly vigorously to make sure that all the honey is blended with all the cream. And we're ready for about 250 mils of this honey. Saving a little bit for breakfast, and already there's a beautiful smell coming up. Full cream and beautiful Australian honey. It's important that you don't have any difference in the actual colour of what you're beating now. So what you end up with is a beautiful light tan all over, which shows you that the white cream is mixed in with the tan colour of the honey. Importantly, mixing the cream and the honey, you'll get a uniform colour when they've blended together, rather than a swirl of white and the cream or golden colour of the honey. We're just about there now. We've got a beautiful uniform colour. And once again, It's rather a beautiful aroma coming from the mixture. We'll just leave that sit for a moment, and I'll pop over and get a strainer, which I neglected to get before. Now that we've got the uniform consistency, we can place the oatmeal brose or oatmeal milk into the mixture. Now, this should always be shaken, and it's prepared the day before, and every time you walk past it, it should be vigorously shaken. Some of the fine oatmeal will go into the mixture itself. That's fine, because Athol Brose should always be shaken before it's served and consumed. Our second bottle of oatmeal brose or oatmeal milk, and you'll see that it does have a milky texture as it comes out. The Scots used oatmeal in most of their cooking. Obviously they made porridge. They also put it in their famous haggis and some of their drinks. Because they were poor people and often couldn't get ordinary milk, it was often fed to infants to help them along the road to good, robust Highland health. So we just give that oatmeal there a little bit more of a stir to get all the fluid out. And once again, keep stirring it in. Don't waste any, there's always a wee bit that drips out of the strainer. And we're getting a good, thick texture, much like a liqueur. This is very similar to the Irish drink, which is known as... Someone help me. Bailey's. Thank you. Bailey's Irish Cream. But I think it's a little bit better simply because we use good Scots whisky. As you can see, we've not really spent a lot of time, and already we're ready for the final ingredient, which is our whisky. And again, you only need a very ordinary whisky. Teachers as good as we need. Certainly do not use a single malt or a good blended whisky or a Johnny Walker Black or even Red Label. Now 700 millilitres will not produce a strong brose. If it's considered to be a little bit too strong to the taste, then we can dilute it further by the addition of that little bit of probably 300 millilitres of oatmeal brose. Now we've just about finished, and it hasn't taken us very long at all. The only preparation we needed was to whip the cream, the full cream, and just leave it while it was still runny, but it had been thickened up, and of course placing both our honey containers in very hot water to make them nice and runny. So that basically is the completed Athol Brose. We've started off with the whipped cream that's still runny. We've added the nice warmed honey into it, then our oatmeal water, and then we've added, of course, our pièce de la résistance, the Scotch whisky. Now I'd like to go to a brose that I made just last Saturday, which is the 25th, which was Burns night, which has been sitting in my fridge, that I'd now like you to sample with me. As you can see, there's sedimentation occurred in this, and that is basically predominantly the oatmeal that hasn't suffused into, but is all basically in the very fine powdery form settled to the bottom. All we need to do with this is to give it a jolly good shake. The same as we shook our oatmeal brose or oatmeal milk for the day or so beforehand. And what we'll do is we can decant that into a small jug. And it's ready to be served. A beautiful, thick but not too thick elixir. And I like to think that the brose, the word brose, is the diminutive form of the ambrosia, which the classicists will know was the nectar of the gods. So the old traditional Scottish toast on occasions like this is Slàinte, which means long life and good health. And with my specially prepared Athol Brose, I wish all the viewers Slàinte. Ah, heavenly. Thank you very much.